So today I'm here with Rudy, my very helpful skeleton, to just explain a little bit about psoas, psoas major, one of our deep hip flexors, and a little bit of concern that I have on some videos and articles I've seen on releasing your psoas. So our psoas major is a very important muscle. It attaches into the front of your spine here and then tracks forward through to the front of the hip. So it's very involved in flexing the hip and helping to support any work on l'air, développé devant, à la seconde. Very important that it's working as a deep hip flexor for this. However, a lot of people feel that they get very tight in their psoas and want to stretch it or release it. Now I want to have a couple of concerns here and just some things for you to think about. The first one is that if a muscle in your body is tight, there's a reason for that. Your body is holding on tension there for a reason. If somebody's complaining of clicky hips or really tight through the front of the hips, I look at their technique and I see if I can work out what is not working that's making this muscle grip on. What I usually find the biggest culprit is actually around the back and these tiny little deep back stabilizers. So especially multifidus, rotatories, intertransversarii, there's tiny little back muscles. Ideally, these control the dynamic stability of your spine, which is great. However, if they're not doing that, so if they're weak for any reason, if you've had a lot of abdominal pain or back pain, or they've just never learned to work properly, this is a little bit unstable. Our body, if it feels unstable, tries to use something else to hold on, and it often grips on with the big back muscles and also attempts to stabilize from the front. Now, in normal humans, the psoas is classed as a spinal stabilizer, and that's fine. If you're walking around like a regular pedestrian, you can use your psoas to stabilize. However, if you want to have your legs above your ears half the day, that's not going to work so well. So we need to specifically retrain the hip and the back in a slightly different way. We need the deep back stabilizers to be even stronger than normal people, so that your psoas can release a little of its role as a spinal stabilizer and actually work to flex the hip. If this doesn't happen, this tends to get locked up and tight in here, and then you'll start to get overworking all through the front of the hip. This is fine. Often when people feel this, they stretch out their hip or they want to release their psoas. This is usually a very temporary solution, and I really encourage people to look at the stability of their spine before they do too much stuff around the front. However, I also want to say that sticking your fingers in, using a crowbar, using a broomstick are very bad ideas if you're trying to release your psoas. Originally, I saw a demonstration of this in a running magazine where there was a picture of a guy with a broomstick through his abdomen to release the psoas. I thought it was just a picture, somebody had drawn it and nobody would really do that, but I've since discovered that on YouTube there are quite a few videos of people demonstrating how to release your psoas using other implements. If you have a think about it, we have your skin here, then you have all your fascia and things over the top, you have your abdominals, you have all your intestines, small intestines, you've got your liver around here, your spleen around here, you have all of these very vital organs between the front and where psoas is at the back. So if you're trying to come through your stomach to release your psoas, you are compressing and possibly damaging a lot of tissues along the way. If you have a very well-trained therapist, they may come in through the sides and weave their way in, but they need to have a very fine touch. You should never have bruising afterwards, and it should be followed or coupled with stability exercises for the low back and mobilization of the whole complex. So please do not shove your fingers in there, use tennis balls or any other hard implements to try and release your psoas from the front. If you are feeling tight through there, we have a whole series of hip flexor mobilizers that you can use to free up the fascia and free up the tissues around that area, but it always needs to be coupled with very fine stability work for the tiny little low back muscles. The benefits of this are much more open, much freer hips, higher extensions, and not so much tensional pain. So please have a little think about what you're doing in this area, and if you have any questions, then please contact your local health professional or come and see us in clinic and we can see if we can work something out for you.